Hello fans of Murder and Mayhem! Welcome back to Frybox64 Productions, the very late second episode of the reading vlog. I am Frybox64, your hostess with the mostest. And yeah, we're kind of far behind in my reading vlogs. As I mentioned a while back, I am reading every day for about an hour for my Lenten sacrifice. And I guess you could say it's not really much of a sacrifice because I actually like doing it. But holy cow, I have not had the time to slow down and actually record myself reading. I'm reading, I promise. See, look. I'm currently working on The World Remade, America in World War I by G.J. Meyer. See, take a look, it's so cute. And I am already this much through it. See, all of this on this side here, that's all of the book that I've read so far. I just have this smidgen left to go yet. And yeah, I have not recorded myself for any of that. So, time for a book dump! Here are 14 random facts for roughly each day that I forgot to record of things that I learned about World War I. As I said earlier, Winston Churchill is a dick. The Spanish flu, which, as its name suggests, was originally blamed for being started in Spain, was actually tracked back to 3 American soldiers from, I believe it was Fort Funston? If I'm wrong, I'll edit that. In all honesty, none of the countries involved in the Great War actually wanted to go to war. At the beginning, France, England, Germany, they were all yelling at each other saying, "Oh, we're gonna start war, we're gonna start war, we're gonna start war!" But everybody kind of put off declaring war until the very last minute. And even at that, everybody was kind of terrified, wanting America to be on everybody's side, and nobody really wanted to go to war. At the beginning of the war, Britain declared that it had full rights to confiscate any contraband on any enemy or neutral ships that it felt would help the enemy. Contraband would include things as obvious as weapons and ammunition, to basic things like clothing, food, and water. When asked if the British were going to be okay with giving up contraband that other nations at war found, they replied, "No, we're above that. We don't have to do that. We're fine." Oh hey, look, my name's actually in this. I did that their time was up and they should be let go. They absolutely refused to leave. They refused to even eat. So their jailers forced them to eat, using tubes and funnels and, I'm assuming, other instruments. Women be crazy! In a good way, though. I love all y'all. Woodrow Wilson was a total Anglophile, meaning that anything that Britain said was basically okay with Woodrow Wilson, even if it was something as major as causing other countries to starve to death. The sinking of the Lusitania, which was one of the major events that caused the Americans to be roused into joining the Great War, actually might have not been nearly as tragic as people intended. It turns out that rescue boats didn't come nearly as fast as they should have, and from not nearly the right places where they should have, leading historians to speculate that maybe the other countries were using this tragedy to coax America into joining the war. Which really kind of sucks when you think about it. And further validates my point that people are jerks! The Espionage Act was put into place at the beginning of the war, which basically meant that if you said anything as major as, "Oh my gosh, we shouldn't be in this war at all, yay Germany," to something as minor as, "Our boys are gonna go die over there," it's not that I'm against it or anything, but our boys are gonna go die over there, you could be imprisoned with hefty fines. Lovely. Woodrow Wilson could be incredibly easy to manipulate if you knew how to do it right. All you had to do was praise him, tell him that his speech was the best thing that you ever heard, and say you're totally on his side, just boost his ego a bit, and he'd be down with whatever you said. However, if you went against him and you said, "Oh, your plan is stupid, I don't think this is gonna work," you immediately were off his friends list. Oh, he did not talk to you ever again after that. Clemenceau, one of the French ambassador people, had the most awesome mustache. Come to think of it, a lot of people back in the early 1900s had awesome mustaches. Mustache-eye? Mustaches. When America finally decided that they were going to join the war, France made an immediate demand for thousands of fighter planes and thousands of trained pilots. How many did the US actually have? Roughly 30 or so pilots who had a basic idea of what they were doing, and about 5 planes, most of which were obsolete. We were very underprepared for this war. In 1918, when American troops were sent off to Russia, nearly half of the 3,000 men that were sent there didn't even have winter clothing. They had just come from the Philippines, had no idea what they were doing, no idea what they were getting into, no equipment. Their guns didn't even shoot right. They were so inaccurate that soldiers would joke that they could shoot around corners, kind of like that magic arrow that you could have in like 3rd edition D&D. Yeah, these poor guys had no idea what they were getting into, and even less in the working equipment department. Douglas MacArthur was known as one of the great, shall we say, characters of the Great War. One of the things that he was known for was, instead of wearing a normal soldier's uniform, taking all the metal screws or the metal fittings out of his hat so that they would slouch, wearing a 7-foot knitted scarf that his mother made for him, and his Letterman sweater from West Point out on the battlefield. So think all of your custom armor and custom mods that you wear in your video games, and good gravy, he was doing that well before video games. Once the Great War was over, the United States, England, France, and other nations around the world decided to try to form a League of Nations that would kind of help keep the peace after the war was over. This, however, proved to be very slow going, as all the nations that either, regardless of whether they'd been involved in the war or not, started coming forward with their various grievances and claiming different territories. This is where we got a lot of different splits in countries and very small little nations. Jellybean, what are you doing down there? Jellybean wants to be the camera bunny today. Come here, baby. Come here. Oh, ha-ha! Here she is! Hello! The great weapon for the next war! Jellybean, what are you doing? And now, finally, here we are one more time. Or at least I hope it's one more time for this book. Like I said, I have got a teeny tiny bit left of this book, and then I am done with World War I. I have my timer for an hour, and my Jellybean passing out in the corner over there, and it is very loud outside. It is very windy right now. We got another cold spell going on, but it's good reading weather, so I'm gonna do my last hour of reading here. Well, not my last hour, but my hopefully last hour of reading for this book, and hopefully it'll be a good one. Woodrow Wilson was, ow, ow, that hurt, I'm gonna try that again.